Hi everybody, we're here for the next session of Personalizing Google for your classroom, and today we're going to work on sharing with Google. I'm going to share our application. I'm going to set the phone back to 45 minutes just so we know that we're staying on task. We want to make sure that we are staying right where we need to be, so I'm not keeping anybody too long during their summer. And here we go. All right, share. So we're going to start there and share. All right, so here we are, and this is sharing with Google. I'm going to again stay out of the present mode because it is a lot easier for us to see where we are going, although we'll try not to do that. Okay, so the learning targets for the day. We're going to understand sharing levels, understand visibility options, and then understand how to change those levels once they're set. A couple other things that I also threw in here is being able to share via email. That's the easy one, and link, and then creating some shortened links and also some strategies to do that with students and ways to use. So really the purpose of sharing. Now as teachers, we have shared and we have collaborated for years. Now I love this icon here because it really does show the difference. We have collaborated via email for years and years and years. It's what we've always done. I got the email, I sent it to my colleague Dawn, she works on it. We sent it to our colleague Hillary, she works on it. We sent it to our colleague Colin, and he works on it. We sent it to Sarah, and she works on it. That's what we've always done, but the issue was that if there was a break in the middle, like I got sick and I didn't do the original work, we didn't always meet our timelines. So that was a problem. And now what we have with more of our collaboration software, which is like Office 365 and Google, any of the Google products, we have the ability to all work on one file at the same time, and we can have quite a high number of people on that document at any time. Quite honestly, in a slide presentation, you can have 10 people editing the document at a time. You can have 200 people looking at it. In any of the other apps like Docs and Sheets, you can have 50 people collaborating on it, working on it. You can have 200 people in it by email. So when I say by email, it means that you can have, when you share the link by email, we're going to talk about this as we move on. When we share a presentation or a document via email, we can enter in 200 individual emails. If you share by link, you can share forever, like infinite number. But when I say the collaborative piece, lots of people can be looking at something, but only so many can be making changes to it at the same time. So real-time collaboration. So this collaboration can happen between staff and colleagues, admins and teachers, admins, staff and students, student to student, just students. So there's lots of ways that this collaboration can happen. I always like to think of teachers, the young teachers and the old teachers, and I fall into the old teachers, so I always like to say it this way. Our time is not as constrained as it was when I was teaching within my first 10 years. I was getting my master's degree. I had a young family, and I needed to get home because I had daycare issues. So I couldn't always do some of those long-term projects that people would stay after. And I lived quite, 45 minutes away from the district I was teaching in. So I had travel time to worry about. I had daycare to worry about. I had a master's degree I was working on. So I had other time constrictions. But I would have been able to collaborate on things at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. That's what Google is really great about doing, is allowing people to have this collaborative time, but it doesn't really matter because it's open 24/7. So the other thing also when we're sharing is that we know that there's only one copy of the file and it's always updated. So we don't have to email things back and forth. They don't get stuck. The email goes down, it gets lost. It's always in our Google Drive, and we're always going to be able to find it. So there are really two big things to understand within sharing, and that you have a document creator, so you are the owner of that. So like this document right now, I am the owner of this document. but then I make options to share it with other people. And the owner controls permissions. That is really, really important. In a typical Google Drive, you have My Documents and Shared with Me. So everything that you've created goes into My Documents or My Drive, and anything that someone else gives you or allows you to have access to or shares it with you goes into Shared with Me. So it's important to understand the difference between those two and where to find those components. Now, you can change ownership of documents back and forth, but only within a specific domain. So that means here where I work at NARIC, I can change who owns a document by moving the ownership over to another person. Say I wanted to take this document and change who owned it, I could change that sharing feature over to, say, Hillary D, and she would own it. Now, I couldn't share it with myself across a different domain. So I wouldn't be able to say, I'm going to share it to Virginia Bond or VBond at nacs1.org. That's not an option. You can only share within your own domain. And that's really important to understand that, because sometimes we want to do certain things, or we may move out of district, and you can't change ownership of options unless you're in the same domain. Okay, so sharing. It's really so easy. We make it seem like it's really tough. It is not. Just so you know, my screenshots are a little old because I have nice square rectangles here, and the new Google Drive has gone more of the rounded edges. Such a small thing, but it just does make me happy. So what we're going to do, the simplest way to share is we can right-click on a folder or a document. So I'm going to come out here. I'm going to go to my Google Drive, and I'm just going to find a document. Here's one right here called Educational Snaps, and I'm going to right-click on it. And as soon as I right-click, I have a share option. I have share and get a shareable link. I'm going to just click share. So as soon as I do that, I get the share box that's going to pop up, and there it goes. It just takes a couple seconds to come up, and there it is. So there's my option of how I can share. That's the first one. I can look for those two buttons. I can either look for the little circle here or this box. So I right-clicked to share. I can also look for my boxes other ways. So when I'm in my drive, I'm going to go back to the drive right here, and I'm just going to done with that. I can be in any kind of document. So if I choose this one right here again, once I highlight it one time, you notice I have this right here. I can share that way because I have this chosen. It's really hard to tell that I chose it, but it is blue. And I can click on it right here, and I can click share, and all I have to do is sign in. I can just start to type, and I'll have an address go in. So that's how easy it is. People that you've already added, that you've shared something with before, will automatically go in, or you can have, or you can type in a new address to share something with somebody. So it's pretty simple. And there are two different share buttons. We have this share button here. The gray circle, I do believe, now that I've said that, I think the gray circle is totally gone. So now they've gone to the person. So it's still a gray circle if you really hover over it. So it's not exact. It's a gray circle if you hover with a plus person, but he moved from here to here. That's part of Google being dynamic. It's always changing. It's never the same for very long. Just so you know, changes for Google always come on Tuesdays. Not sure why. They've just chosen that day. So you could be in your Google one night on a Monday night, and you come in and go to do a training on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and your screenshots are old. It's happened to me a lot. I try not to get all weirded out about it. I also try not to train on Google on Wednesdays, unlike today. So it is one of the things that you just have to get used to. Don't freak out. It's probably still there. It just moved. So here's the ability with the click, the button to share. When I'm in an app, I get a blue share button over there. It's pretty simple. Just have to kind of see where they can be. Right click on a document or a folder, or I can look for the two share buttons. I can look for the person with the plus sign. So I want to add a person plus, or the share, the blue shared rectangle. Okay, so now there are 3 levels of sharing. You can make it so somebody can view only, they can comment, or they can edit. So those are the 3 different ways to share. We're going to come back out here. We're going to look again. So I'm going to choose a folder to start with. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to click on this folder, and I'm going to share it. So I have my little down arrow. I have 2 options. I can give someone the ability to organize, add, and edit, or they can view. So that sounds like it's totally in contrast to what I just said, but it's a folder. What kind of comments could you possibly make on a folder? You could say, oh, it's a really pretty gray. There's no reason to comment in folders. So that's why you only have 2 levels on a folder. But when I come down here and I go to this one again, and I click share again, you'll notice I can, when I click here, and I'll have to type in Dawn again for Dawn. When I click on her, I can cancel. I have to go in and actually edit her. I'll just go to advanced. I have 3 options. Cancel. Let's do that again. Come into this one. I want to go into the share because I know I've shared it. I want to go into advanced. You must ask the owner to, I have nobody to invite. So I want to go into advanced sharing. It'll show me, let me find a document that's shared. This one is right here. I'll go into it, then I can show you what I mean. So here's sharing. I can come in here. I can go into advanced. Wow, it's not allowing me to have any access. Oh, it's because it's not my document. Okay, so sorry, brain toot right there. We'll come into one of my own documents that I know I made. Eventually, here's one right here. So we're going to come into this document. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to come up to that blue share button. I'm going to show you the ways that you can share something. In here, so now I have edit, comment, view. So 3 different. But I'm in a document. I'm in an actual document. That allows me to make those kind of changes. Can't do that in a folder because folders just, you can organize it, you can move stuff around, but you can't comment on it. I hope that makes sense. Although it's a little confusing. So let's kind of talk about these. So the 3 levels you can view. This is the most restrictive of the sharing. You're going to give someone the ability to read or view a file. It's the equivalent of a PDF. So you no longer really have to make it. If you want to give something to someone, you can give them view. But you do notice that I put a little caveat here. They can perform a make a copy to be able to edit the file. So if I want somebody to share, if I want to share something with them, I can give them edit. If I want them to be able to only see it and only view it and not be able to edit it, I do want to turn it into a PDF, although there are a few other things that I can make options for that. I like to think of this when I'm in Google Classroom because it is one of the options. Do I want students to edit, or do I want students to view, or do I want students to have their own copy? Well, it depends on what I want them to do. If I just want them to read it, then they just can view. If I want them to all work on one document together, I want them to edit it. So those are things we need to think through as we're working our way through it. So view is the most restrictive, only the ability to look at. Okay, so then comment. So collaborators are only allowed to comment on a document. This is great. If you create a document, say you want students to do some proofreading and you want them to do some editing, you decide instead of having them edit the document directly, you're going to give them the ability to comment on it. And what happens is when we comment, this is our comment box, and I go like this, and I click comment, they will comment down the side. The comment will pop in over here. Okay, file maybe, not document. I'm just trying to make something up here. Okay, so it's just, so that comes out the side. I can see where it was made. So to do that, they do need to use, they put their cursor where they want it to go. They click on the comment button. It's pretty easy. What's nice about that is they come down the side. Students can decide they either want to make a change or not make a change. I really like comments. I use it a lot with my colleagues. I want them to look at a document. They don't need to edit it. They can just do commenting down the side. Typically, most of my colleagues will do that instead of editing my document. I don't really care, but it is a great way to get feedback. The feedback comes right into the document. It shows up down the side. And if I went back in here and I made another comment, so I could add a comment and I could say plus, and then you notice what happens. All of these emails populate in. What's nice about when you have that is that if I do Dawn and I put it in here, Dawn will automatically be sent an email. Your plus mention will add people to this discussion and send an email. So I love that. So now I can put my comment. So then I can share it. So that's all there is to it. So I love that feature. It's really nice because I can have multiple students working on something, knowing that a specific student made a comment or a specific student did an editing feature and I don't think it's the best choice. I can go back and I can make a comment just to one student, not to the whole group. So we have viewing and editing. And the last one, the one that is the most open, is sharing. They can edit. So these are people that can actually modify the document. They can add to it, they can edit it, or they can delete information. Editors have the ability to delete information. They can work on it collaboratively 24/7. Sorry, I'm starting to fall off the seat. All information is updated in real time. That's kind of my favorite part of it. You don't really have to wait at any point. And collaborators can work on any document, anytime, any device. I do tons of slide presentations on my phone because it is actually easier for me to put pictures into documents from my phone because I take the picture there and I can upload it and then I can it'll automatically populate into a document. It just makes it easier, so any device, anytime. So that device agnostic information again. Okay, so document creation. So when you create any form of document within Google, if you create it, whatever email you create it with, that email, that person within that Google domain becomes the owner of it, and it is automatically private. That is the default level within personal accounts. Now, some schools in their Google domain change that access, and they change it to a public document. So there's no way for me to tell you that Cohoes does one thing and Beekmantown does another and Guilderland does another. You really have to go in and see. So if I go into this document and I automatically push the share button, I can click see more if I want more information about it. So when I click it, it typically says who the owner is, and I do have to go into advanced. So I have made mine so anyone who has a link can view. And if I go in here, I can make it private. I can say no one can view, all can edit, whatever I want. I have the ability to do that. And those are always things to really keep in mind when you go through. So the reason that districts allow or they want some of these components to always be open is because they want people to be able to access other people's Google documents. So you really just want to go in and make sure what's happening when you go in. Personal accounts are always private. School accounts, schools typically default to public. So you have to rock it back into private so only you can access. Okay, so now some visibility. So visibility is how you share your links. There are 5 levels, although you can see right here, I might be saving to you just a bit. There are 3 levels in private. There are 5 levels in link sharing for domain accounts. So these are very different. And the reason for that is because if you're using a personal account, it's just public, private, or anyone with a link. It makes it simple. You have the same 3 levels, and I like to call it 1, 3, 5. So 1 is the most open, 5 is the most locked, so 1, 3, 5. And they're the same thing here. 1, 2, 5. I'll lie to you. 1, 2, 5. 1, 2, 5, and you have these other ones in the middle. So we're going to talk our way through these. Just understand that your domain account, so any school account, so if you have a cohoes.org, mynerics.org, malonecsd.org, srk12.org, any school that is a Google domain, they will have that ability that will automatically be defaulted in there. Okay, So I'm just checking time to make sure I'm still booking along good with gas here. All right, so next one. So visibility. We're going to talk about domains because I feel like that's where most people are. So there are 5 ways you can share a document. We're going to talk our way through each one of them. You're going to do public all the way down to private. So public is number 1. Private is number 5. So in a personal Gmail account, you have 1, 2, and 5. So you can see I kind of broke these up because this makes more sense. So visibility 1 is public. Anyone can find and access. So public means I can go to Google and I can type something in. That's probably the least used link sharing because most people don't want that level of access out to anyone. And 5 is private, as in you're only going to share it with a few people. So we're going to work our way through each of these. So 5, only specific people. So if you don't invite anybody to it, nobody's allowed in. Okay? The hard part is you invite people in, so you turn it on, and you still will have to choose, do they have edit? Do they have comment? Do they have view? So this is what happens. Sharing and visibility go together, and we have all kinds of levels. You can share and edit with 2 people. You can share and edit for anybody. So we have to figure out where they fit together, and that's kind of the hard part of sharing, is understand that you have to really make sure these fit in a specific way. The next one. So visibility option 4, anyone at the domain with a link. So the district has created a folder, say a shared folder for the technology committee, and they only share it with the people on the technology committee by link. So they share it out to them. They have to be in the domain, it has to be sent to them, and it's not shared, then the folder file will not be in there shared with me because they have a link. I'm going to back up here for a minute. When you get a 5, so I shared Dawn. I shared something to Dawn. She got an email. It is in her drive and shared with me. So if I send something to somebody with just the link, it's not shared with me. That is really confusing. So you have to always kind of keep that link available. I believe that this is going to change by Google because it's difficult for people to find it. Next one. Okay, visibility option 3. Anybody at the domain. So anybody can find it, and it may be editable if it's turned on. They have to search it to find it. Here's a good example. District creates a public use calendar or a calendar that is viewable for anybody, but you got to go look for it. So you have to know the name of the calendar. So you may have an elementary school calendar, and all of the events go on there. It doesn't automatically feed to you. It's not sent to you by link. You have to search for it. If you don't search for it, you won't find it. And not search in Google, you have to search within the calendar option to find it. So that's anyone at the domain. Number 2, anyone with the link. So in actuality, a link is public. So when I share this document with you, this is going to be a public document because I'm sharing it with you. If I share it at option 2, anyone with the link. So it's public. If you have access to the link, you'll have access to it. You don't have to be signed into a Google account. So this is important. If you're going to present anywhere, at any time, large groups of people, you don't want to hand jam in all those email addresses, this is the level to use. You want to use it option 2, so anyone with the link can get it. So I share the link with, I can't even think of anybody. I share the link with the director of our agency. And I give it to him and I say, you can share it with anybody you want. He can actually share the link out, share it out, share it out, share it out. And they don't have to be into a Google account. That's really, really helpful to be able to do that. And you don't have to worry about changing permissions. So at this, I can share it at anyone with the link, but only give them view, which is how I share most of my documents. So visibility is anyone with a link, but their sharing option is view. I can also share anyone with the link can edit. That would be a nightmare, just so you know. I could also share anybody with the link can comment. So you can see that you can start to mix those up a little bit more. The visibility one, which is public, this allows anyone from anywhere to be able to find and access your files. They don't have to be signed in, and it means just what it says. Public means it's searchable within a Google document. So sharing files, we've already done this. So you see the plus sign. You can share here. You can share here. You can also share with the blue buttons. And this is where, so this is the ability to share. This is the sharing part of it. When we go on to the next part is when we start to change the visibility of who gets options. So just sharing files. And I wanted you to see what this looks like, because then I'm going to do a big quick crop here. I think I meant to crop it and I totally forgot, so I'm going to crop it now so you can see a little better. So sorry. I wanted you to kind of see what this looks like, because what I really want to talk to you about is kind of sharing with a link. So we can click with anyone. We can type in email addresses or names. And then I can choose how I want to share with them. Do I want to give them edit, comment, or view? But sometimes I just want to share with a link. And when I share with a link, I get this pop-up. Anyone with the link can view. So do I want to just give people the ability to view? Do I want to give them the ability to edit? I usually say no. That's because I want to know who's editing my things. And if I give anybody with a link, they don't have to be logged into a Google account, so people could change anything. So when I use links, when I use a shareable link, I only give people view access. Let me say that one more time. When I do a shareable link, I only give you access. It is really the best way to do it, to keep people from not changing up your stuff. So, again, folders, you can edit and view. Just makes sense because you can't comment in a folder. Your folder's so pretty. When you think of that, you're going to remember it. That's going to be what's stuck in your head. But on files, you can edit, comment, and view. A lot of times, teachers want to have edit access to their student files. Just have your students give you comment, because then you're not making that level of changes within their document. You're commenting down the side. They will have to make a decision whether they choose to do that or not. So some advanced share options. So the reason that this is important is because if you go in and you make changes, you want to make sure, I may decide that I decide to take away Dawn's privileges to share this document. So I gave her the ability to edit it or to view it, and I may decide that, I'm done with her. I'm going to take away her privileges, poor Dawn. And so what I need to do is I need to go into my shared options, and I need to go into the advanced. So I'm going to come down in here and I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to come in, I'm going to click share. I'm going to go into advanced because this is my document and I didn't share it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this document with Dawn. I'm going to share it with her. I'm going to give her editability. I'm going to send it to her. I do want to notify her. Send it. Okay, I'm good. So now she has that. Okay, done. What I want to do is I want to go in and then I want to change it because I'm going to be like, yeah, maybe she doesn't have that option. So I come in, I go to the advanced share options, and I want to change. So this, anyone who has the link can view. I could change this so that anyone could public, or I could turn it off. Well, I don't really need it. I need it on. But I want to come here and say I'm going to change Dawn's level of access. So right now she has edit, but I can change her to just comment her. So you have made changes that you need to save, and I need to save that to make that happen. So anytime that you want to change someone's level of access, you need to go to the little arrow over here. If you want to change the overall sharing access, you need to click it here. This changes everything. The little down arrow next to it here changes one person. Really important to understand. So folder settings get changed this way. This is what it looks like. And files, pretty much the same. There's not much difference between the two. Just understanding you can change the overall access, or you can change different people. And you notice I can have some people who have comment ability. I can have some people who have edit ability. And that's fine. The one thing that you cannot do, so I'm going to go in and show you what I mean. I can go into share, and let's say I want to put in multiple addresses. I'm going to put in, I'll put my other email address in here. So I'm going to use Virginia Bond at NARIC, and I'm going to give myself, I want to say, yeah, you can edit it. And maybe I want to give Hillary D, but I really want to give Hillary comment ability. I can't. Whatever I decide to do, I have to do for the whole list. So if I want everybody to have comments ability, you need to do all your comments at one time. But if I want myself to have edit and Hillary to have comment, I have to do one, send it, then I have to do the other set and send it. You can't mix it up. That's one of the foibles of it, but it does make sense. A few other owner settings that I think are important to understand. At the bottom of your sharing options, you have the ability to prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. Editors. Commenters and viewers do not have this. This is hugely important. You're working on a document and you don't want anybody else in, you can click that. Owner runs this. Not editors, owners do. You can also disable options to download, print, and copy. So if you have something that you're working on and you don't want anybody else to make changes to, you can click those two boxes, and that is really important. So understand how to make a shortened link. Google used to have a service called goo.gl. We called it Goo. It was Google, get it? They disabled it in, I want to say mid-May. Much to the chagrin of many, many people. It was very simple to use, but shortened URLs are really important. I wrote down the directions. I'm going to walk you through this process so that you can see it, because nobody in their right mind can type this address out. It's way too long. So we're going to go to the shared button, and we're going to get a shareable link. We're going to click copy the link, and you see it says it was copied to a clipboard. What the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new tab, so I'm going to use Control T right there. I'm going to paste my new URL in there, and then I'm going to hit enter. So if you don't know what I just did, I'll do it again. So we're going to go back. You can paste it in and then hit enter, or you can do this thing called paste and go, which automatically does it. And you notice what it does is it brings you into this folder. Okay, that's great. I'm opening another realm of it just so you can see. And then what I'm going to do is I'm in this folder and I'm going to click. This is where you have to make a decision about what you want to use. For me, I am using a software program called, I'm using an extension called Bitly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my extension called Bitly right here. And it'll typically make me log in. I have already logged into this. I'm using my Google account for my login into Bitly. And what you see is I get a shortened URL. There's the shortened URL. It's way better than that. So this is much easier for students to click on or to type if I need them to type. And what I do like about these now is that I can now, they will allow you to shorten them. So if I wanted to say PGYC share, and I'm going to have to do an underscore because you can't do certain things, okay? I'm going to tell it to save, and then I have it. And all I have to do is copy it, and I can put it here. So this is all gone, and I'm just going to paste it here, and then there's my URL. Wow, that came in really big. We don't want it quite that large, so I'm going to just put it in here and then paste it. And there's the URL for this session. That allows, it just makes it a lot simpler. I do have to grab the HTTP. And then I have it. So that will take me to here. Shortened URLs are just something I feel like teachers need to understand how to do because they make life so much easier for students. The fact that you can customize these now within Bitly is very helpful. Okay, just some quick review of where we are. I got 10 minutes left. I'm doing pretty good. So sharing levels. What are those sharing levels? Remember, we have edit, comment, and view. Comment does not exist in file. What are visibility options? So in a personal account, you have 3. You have public, anyone with the link, and private. And in a domain, you have 5 levels of visibility: from public, anyone with a link, and then the 3 stopping with private. How can you change sharing and visibility once it's set? Pretty easy. You have to go into share, and then you have to go into advanced, and that's how you can make those changes right in there. Important to know how to do that because that is something that comes up a lot. Can you remove a collaborator? Absolutely. You can absolutely go in there and you can say, I'm going to go into advanced. All I have to do is just click that X at the end, and she is gone. I love Dawn. I pick on her so much. Which is easier with students, sharing at the folder level or sharing at the file level? This is not a trick question, but I have a lot of teachers who will create a shared folder and then they share every document within that again. If you share at the folder level, anything you put in that folder, students can have access to. So you could make a folder for a small group within your class, and you could share it with them with each of them by email, so only they'll have access in, and then you don't have to worry about sharing the documents you put in there later. And can you limit someone's ability to print something you have shared with them? Absolutely. And where do you do that? So once I go into the share option and I come into advanced, remember it's right down in here, owner settings. And it's right, disable options to download, print, and copy for commenters and viewers. Editors can always print. So just be really careful about who you're giving editing privileges to. Make sure you trust them. Okay, some ways to use sharing. So think about committee folders, shared student folders, and they are different than classrooms. There may be things you want to put in there. For one thing, a shared folder with students is usually a little bit more accessible. They don't have to kind of weed through your classroom stream. Although if you're using the About, it may be easier. You can do teacher to student. A student can share a folder back to you. You can do teacher to parent. Ooh, that raises a whole new kind of level. Student to parent. Actually, student to anyone with a Google account. And it's important, some districts limit sharing by only sharing within the domain, so you do need to know what you have access to. But if they do that, a student can share to someone via a link. You can also do admin to teacher, admin to student, admin to parent. Those are great ways. Wouldn't it be nice to have all of our memos that go out to parents just in a shared Google folder? So you could just have them in there and they've been there all the time. Just put the latest and greatest date on it and they would be constantly moving through. That would be so easy. Get rid of paper. It's a lot easier to read. You can have a shared district folder. Put in there a document that has commonly asked for documents, like the public use calendar. I need access to something. Maybe you do your sick days that way. Do you have certain things that you have to file at certain times of the year? Put them all in that folder. That could be great. Excuse me. Group work. Grade level content, either for a classroom set of teachers in an elementary, or maybe departments. So the English department has a shared folder. So when you think about shared folders, thinking about team drives, we're going to talk about that next time we talk about drive. That's another option to look at. Curriculum maps. Those are just some simple ways that districts can use them. Sharing can be so powerful and just make things so much easier. Like, I don't remember where I put that, being able to find it. So a couple sharing tips and tricks to just keep in mind. Always share at a less public level if you're concerned. So if you really think you might want to share it public, just drop it down to anyone with a link. You can always remove access as needed. So if somebody starts to, you get concerned that somebody's doing something they shouldn't be doing, you can change them from edit to comment, or you can remove them totally. Or you can change them from edit to view, or you can remove them totally. You can change ownership in the same domain. And I'm questioning that now, because if I went in here and I noticed there was a few things that I could change ownership to in my advanced settings, if Dawn was in here, and I could change ownership to her when I was in there. And I was kind of shocked because that's new. I'm not sure that's possible. That would be something I'd want to check in. It's also important if you're going to leave district. Districts do not have to give you that information because it does belong to them. It is not your intellectual property if you created it using their Gmail account. It belongs to them. So thinking about ways to get that information can be really valuable. Make a copy removes collaborative ability. So if you take a document that's in your shared with me and you make a copy and put it into your drive, it's yours now and you're not collaborating on it anymore. Let me say that one more time. If I go into my shared with me in here, and I have a document in here, maybe this one right here, and I make a copy and I add to my drive, the document no longer is a collaborative document because I have my own copy. I will have my own copy somewhere in here. I don't know where it went, but right there. This is my copy now. It's no longer collaborative because I made a copy and I stuck it in my drive. It's not part of the collaborative process anymore, and that's kind of important to understand. Working with students, personally, I think the best way to do that is use commenting. And even if they give you editability, just go in and change, just go in and use the commenting feature. I think it's a better way to do things. So learning targets. So basically understanding those sharing levels, those 3 levels of sharing, edit, comment, and view, the 5 levels of visibility, and then changing them. Anytime you want to change sharing or visibility, you have to go into sharing, and then you have to go into advanced settings. So that's it for today. And I think I got 3 minutes left, so we are good to go. Again, you'll get all your contact information will be loaded into the presentation, as well as the link to the document, link to the Google Classroom, also along with what your artifact will have to be for sharing. And I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. See you later.